Hello everyone, Justin Salbato with Video Masters. Today we're going to jump in and take a look at VideoPad. VideoPad is an inexpensive, easy to use editing software. It's going to allow you to combine all of your video clips, image files, music files, and create that polished professional video that you've been looking for. So let me just jump in and show you how this whole process works and how the interface is organized. So over here is our source materials, and you can see we have multiple tabs. We have videos, audios, and images. And what I need to do here is just literally drag and drop those files right in. So I have my files already selected here. So I've pre-organized what I want to drag in. I drag them in and I'm done. And it's that easy. And what it's going to do is it's going to categorize these by the type of file that they are. You'll see that I have all of my videos. I have an audio file and I have a couple of static images. If I click the tab for the videos and then I click an actual clip, drag this over. This is my source view, and you can see this is the clip preview. So this is the video and all of the frames. So we have hours, minutes, seconds, and then the frame. I can drag this playhead around, and this is called scrubbing. So I'm scrubbing through the video, trying to find the segment of the video that I want to use, and we'll get into that a little bit further. So you can see that each one of these is easily previewed. And the response time is really good. You can move through this very quickly and the program keeps up well. Audio file, if I click this, I'm going to get a clip preview. I'm going to get a waveform. I'm going to be able to tell the intensity of the volume at any moment along this audio file. And that can be useful. Oftentimes there might be some static or dead space at the beginning or the end. If there's large dramatic sections in the audio, I'll see some spikes, and sometimes that'll help you to align your video clip transitions to the music, and that's adds to the polished finish of your piece. Then I have some static images, and so this doesn't change. It's literally just an image. And I have a couple of those, and I'll show you how that works as well. So to get started, we will just jump in. I'm going to use this video to begin. So I'm going to select the clip. I'm going to see my clip preview. And I'm going to scrub through, and I'm going to choose where I want this video to start. Once I do select that beginning frame, I'm going to click this button, which is the set to start. And then I'm going to scrub and find the end. I'm going to find this section where I can see the full window just under the tree. And I'm going to hit set end. And I can either drag this into my timeline. Down here is the timeline. Or I can hit the add button. And either one are going to do the same. So I'll go ahead and use the button. And now what's happened is it's taken this clip and it's put it into our sequence. So a sequence is our actual finished video, and looking down here I can see where it is. Now I can scale in and out. So this isn't changing the duration of that clip. This is just changing the graphical representation of that. And as the video gets longer, I'm going to need more space along the timeline. So here's my zoom features. This button here will zoom to the entire length of the clip of the sequence as it currently stands. So here we can push the play button. Notice we have the sequence being previewed now. So we're previewing the sequence. This is our video and it's playing through. Pretty straightforward. Now let's pause that, and I'm going to make my second clip. Something here. Let's start about there. We'll set our start. I want to just fly up until we capture this grand view. We'll hit end. We'll drag it in this time instead of hitting the add button. We come down here, and as I play, you'll see we wrap up to this frame of the first clip. Then it's going to do an abrupt edit to the second clip. And there it is. So we've now created our first sequence, and it's literally just as easy as putting one block of video in front of another block of video. Now let's talk about some of the options we have with each one of these clips and how we can make the transitions a little bit more interesting if we want, and some effects we can use. So the first button we're going to look at is right here. It's at the top of this clip, and it's the fade in. And we can set a fade in time. So I'll just go ahead and set this for 2 seconds. Now when I step back, play, you can see that it gradually goes from a black screen all the way to the full opacity of the video. That's happening in the 2 seconds. Now this button here is similar to the fade, except this is a transition. So it's going to affect the clip, the preceding clip and the subsequent clip. So let's just do something that's easy to see. I don't like this transition, but it'll be easily understood as a transition. So I'll hit the play button. I'm going to get close to the end of this clip, and then it's going to do that little what do they call that? Dissolve rough is that type of transition. Like I said, it's not my favorite transition. To me, it's a little tacky, but you can see that it is transitioning. So something a little bit more subtle would be just a crossfade. And it's going to change the opacity of one going down and just literally exchange one for the other. Now, one thing to notice on this clip is that the format of this clip is a little bit different than the format of this clip. And so we're going to want to take care of that. And so to do that, we're going to zoom in, or zoom out rather, and I want to use an effect. And so these are the effects, and we have plenty of different effects we can add to any clip. And we want to do a stretch as one option. So now when I close this, you can see that it's filling the frame. Sometimes the stretch is going to look a little unnatural. This one's borderline. Other times you may want to do a different effect that will achieve the same goal. So this one's stretching. Should be able to scale. Let's see. Position, scale. So in this one, instead, we'll go ahead and delete by selecting this X. You can layer these effects. Instead of doing the stretch, because it was, I think, a little distorting, we'll go here and that's our base. You can see as I adjust this, so this is our center point. And so that point's going to stay still and everything else is going to be stretched. So you can really zoom in and zoom out. And you can actually animate this, and we'll do that in a different video. I don't want to try to do that in this one. I'm just going to stretch this just enough, fill the frame, and close that. So that's considered an effect. And we can change the position, we can warp it, we can do all sorts of things. I think in another video we'll go through and look at an example of each one of those effects. But in this case, really all we need to do is just scale it slightly so that we're filling the entire frame. Now I can wander back here, and you can either use the space bar or just click in the screen. and we're seeing our transition. So we've discussed the fade in, transitions, we've looked at some effects. And you can see that just chaining these videos together is very simple and will be your first step in the editing process. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is how we can layer videos on top of each other. And let me explain what that means by doing an example. So instead of using a video, I'm going to actually use this image file. Go back to the beginning. And I'm going to put this image file on track 2. And I just dragged and dropped. I can do multiple tracks here. You see here it's asking or prompting us to even add another track. So what this means is, as I go back, here we had our first video. There's our fade in. It's going to play. Then we cut to this track 2. Track 2 is always going to cover up track 1. Track 3 is going to cover up track 2 and track 1. So here's the image laying over the top of track 1. Now this image, again, is a different aspect ratio. So we'll drag this because we want to fill the frame. And now if I go here and press play, I'm going to run over, and then until the duration of this image file, which we can adjust, is complete, and then it'll go back to track 1. So this is how you can layer your tracks. Now, this is a little odd. So instead of using the picture of the house here, I'm going to take that out. I'm going to drag in the Sotheby's logo. And we start this out. And here I want to actually scale this down. So the logo is not filling the full screen. We'll give a little intro so it's just black to start with. And we get Pacific Sotheby's overlaid to the image, and then the image drops out. And we do crossfade, scrub through, and now you can see instead of the logo just disappearing suddenly, it fades out, which is a little nicer transition. So if we start at the beginning, press play, get Pacific Sotheby's, and there reveals the house. So that's a very simple technique to get some titles in. And to do this, you may want to use a PNG file. PNG files can have a transparent background instead of just a white background. And as you can tell in this case, that transparent background's nice because it's allowing us to see the picture of the background of the home on the outsides of the logo here. And we can keep adding layers, and these layers could be videos. This is not an artistically valid choice, but just to give you an idea. So we're starting out, we're going to see the fade of track 1, then we're seeing the Sotheby's overlaid, and then we're seeing the picture overlaid on that. And then that's going to terminate once that clip ends, and eventually we'll get back down to our track 1. So this is the layering process, and that's really important. So the reason you may want to do this is, for example, let's say you had track 1 as an interview, and you wanted that to play through, you wanted the audio to play through, but you may want to show B-roll. And so B-roll would be where you have some videos or images that play over the top of it. So you have the narrator or somebody being interviewed. They may start talking about something, and then an image or video of that comes on and gives the viewer some context of what they're talking about. So here's where we have that. You can see that video's We have this video moving over that video. And again, we'll need to go to our effects, hit the add button, scale this up just enough so we don't have that odd banding on the sides where we can see both. And so we have the video, jumps to this video, and then it jumps back to that video. But in fact, the other video, whereas when you chain them together, one's going to stop and then the next one starts. This video is still progressing, even though the other video is the one being played. So that's the difference between doing this as a separate track and joining them. And generally that's important when you have a narration or some other audio element that needs to carry through. So I'm going to click that clip and delete it. And now I'm going to move back. Now, what about audio files? Well, audio files are really simple as well and very dramatic. So I'm going to drop this audio file in, track 1, and now I'm going to hit play. And you can see how effective the music is. It really makes all the difference here. So I think you're going to enjoy adding the music because all of a sudden your material will come to life. And I think this video file is a little long, so let's transition that a little faster and we'll hit play. And I would just continue on and I decide what the next shot's going to be, and I would tell this story about this house one clip at a time. And in the background, this audio is just going to continue to play. I can do exactly the same thing where I can trim it front and back. And similar to the video files, I can also do some effects. Now these effects are going to be a little different. These are going to be audio effects. I hit the plus. And here are my choices. Not going to get into them right now. We'll do a separate video on the audio effects, but same concept and you can play around with that. Now one thing to note is that in the audio file, you'll have this line, and this is the volume. So I can actually adjust the volume, and let me show you how that works. You'll notice that the volume's getting quieter and quieter. You can see down here this line. And if I select the audio clip, or actually this channel, and let's see. We'll cover that in the next video. But this line in here, oh, it's a double click. I'm going to move this way down here. I'm going to show you that. So I'm just trying to make this dramatic so that you can really notice it. And I've got it muted. Start that over. So here I have a mute tool. So it's almost going to nothing, and then it's going to build back up. So the reason that's important is you may have a narrator that needs some quiet time with the music, and so you may reduce the volume and then build the volume back up after they're done. So that's why you're going to want to use this. We can remove a fade point. We can remove the effect, and it just gives us the natural volume. So we have an option to mute the audio. We can pan between the left and the right track, and we can adjust the overall volume of the clip as well. So some basic ideas here. Here's the overall volume clip rate, the volume of the clip. So if you want to adjust the whole clip, that's how you do it. So that took the volume down on everything. We can still run this waveform over the top of it to adjust the subtlety of that. When you have multiple audio tracks, it's going to be important to balance the audio between those tracks. So if you have narration and music, you're going to want to adjust that as well. So the last thing I'm going to show you in this video is I'm going to take these all out. I'm going to go to a video file. I'm going to go with one that has video and audio. So this is a video that has audio included in that file. And you can see that we can scrub, we can do the same thing, we can play, and all that's good to go. If I move this file in my timeline, the audio comes with it. Now, here's the one thing. If I want to unlink that, that was the unlink. Now, often are not going to want to do this, but just in case there was a reason to, now the audio and the video are not synced, and you'll find that the mouth and what you hear just don't make sense. But sometimes there is a need to do that. If you find that you've broken this link and you need to replace it, then you can restore the linked video here. It'll realign them and reconnect them. So that's going to be something that periodically is going to be important. And while we're here, I'll just go ahead and drop in this audio. And now we can move this to the beginning. You can see we need to adjust the balance of the audio channels here. So I'll keep the narration up. And this one I'm going to drop down, and I'll just drop the volume of the whole clip. And I'm going to find that balance that seems right. That's how to basically use the narration when you have video and audio, whether it's narration or background sounds, whatever it might be, to link them, unlink them as necessary. So you know how to load your source materials in, you know how to preview them, how to drag them in the timeline. You have a little experience now with how to manipulate the audio. And this is going to get you a long way in creating videos that you're excited about and proud of. We'll follow up with some other videos that delve into some of the other nuanced features, but what we've just covered is really 80% of the program, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.